Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Think Future. My name's Chris Calabucas, and once again, we're coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. We're talking innovation, startup, the future, not necessarily those, and not necessarily in that order. If you're watching on YouTube, smack that subscribe button and hit that bell so you can be notified when a new show comes online. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, please subscribe and please drop a note on Apple Podcast. I'd greatly appreciate it. Now, what were we talking about today? Oh, yes. You know, I'm so sad. I'm so sad about the state of the internet. I really am sad about the state of the internet because I've been involved with the internet for a long time now, ever since it became sort of commercially viable. And at the beginning, it was great. The internet was just fantastic. And you know why I thought the internet was fantastic? I mean, it had a lot of issues, of course. Because it was very difficult for people to communicate with each other over the internet. There wasn't anything easy until the web came along. Once the web was invented, it got a lot easier because it created an interface that people understood. Web pages, hyperlinks, etc. But still at that time, it was still difficult to navigate around it, but it had a lot of promise because there weren't a lot of controls on it. You were still able, it was kind of a Wild West sort of thing, where it was still crazy for some people to get on it, and you never knew what kind of dark corners you got into, but at least you had the ability to go places that you wanted to. You could connect to other people. And that's one of the things I thought was the most powerful thing about the internet. The ability to connect one person with another. Person-to-person connections. And I think it really started becoming powerful when we started seeing chatbots like ICQ. When people were able to download applications onto their device and actually communicate directly with one other person, with other people, in a direct connection, right? Because that's what we've always had. Like, prior to the internet, it was always a one-to-many conversation, and the many were very rarely able to talk back. If you talk about media, if you talk about news, if you talk about anything, there was a small group of individuals who were able to communicate to everybody else. But everybody else couldn't communicate to the small group of individuals, either through some kind of letters to the editor or something like that. There was really no two-way communication. It was one-way, blah, we're going to tell you what we think happened, and you're going to believe it because we're authoritative. Not authoritarian. I know you could be authoritarian, but you could be authoritative. I'm telling you what happened. As the news anchor on these news channels, I'm telling you exactly what happened, and how it happened, and who it happened to, and when it happened, and all that good stuff. So you don't have to worry about listening to anybody else. Like, you don't have to listen to your neighbor. You don't have to listen to anybody else. Just listen to me because I know what happened. I'm telling you what happened. So we went through a period where that's what humanity was like. We were listening to a small group of individuals talking to everybody else and telling everybody else what was what. And as soon as the internet came around, it's like, wait a second, the power has shifted. Now we can have any human talking to any human. Isn't that amazing that any human can talk to any human? We can connect any human with any other human. Prior to the internet, I had a bulletin board system where it was kind of like a Reddit 4chan kind of thing where people could talk to each other. It was like a message forum. And I would post something, and somebody else would post a reply, and bam, 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 and people could talk directly to each other. And some of the best boards, they didn't even have any real censorship. I mean, people could say whatever they wanted to each other, and some people were really nasty to each other. If anybody knows about flame wars, where people were like yelling and screaming to each other, insulting each other, it was awful. But the fact of the matter was that everybody was speaking directly to somebody else without any kind of middleman in the middle. It was a true person-to-person communications. You didn't have to, you could get the real scoop from the real person directly, one-to-one. And that's what I thought the major promise of the internet was. The major promise of the internet is you could take anybody, anywhere on the planet who has an internet connection and connect them with anybody else, anywhere else on the planet. And I think that's where the power was, because a lot of times we have issues in various countries because of the lack of information that people on the ground have. A lot of these governments censor the information that gets down to their people through the internet or through other channels. And for a while there was a period of time when everything was open to everybody. I mean, in some countries it wasn't, because they had a real lockdown on internet connectivity. But in most places, anybody could talk to everybody else without government intervention, without media intervention. People could get the real story of what was happening in a place by people who were actually on the ground. And it happened around the year 2000 when Twitter first started. 2008, in the late 2000s, tools had been created that allowed blogs, podcasts, Twitter, Facebook, all of these tools allowed people from wherever they were in the world to communicate to lots of other people in the world. When there were uprisings in different countries all over the world, not only could you listen to the news reports from the media, you could also listen or watch tweets from people right there on the ground, citizens who were experiencing real life events, people talking directly to other people. And that, I thought, was the true power of the internet. The true power of the internet is human beings talking to other human beings. No filters. We would filter it ourselves. We would say, I don't want to listen to this guy, I'll turn him off. I'll ban him, I'll block him, whatever. And we had, for a period of time there, the most amazing communications device human beings have ever invented, because you could have clear, unadulterated, uncensored communications between human being to human being, no matter where they were in the world. No matter where they were in the world. And Twitter and Facebook and a lot of these services made it really easy for humans to communicate with each other. For a while. And then it happened. As time went by, fewer and fewer people were allowed to talk to each other. We got to a point where everyone could talk to everyone else, and systems allowed everyone to talk to everyone else. And then we started walking back to the same kind of system that we had before, where a small group of individuals was allowing messages to get to the rest of the group. So in the past, it was the small group of individuals creating the messages that go to the broad group of people. But now it's the small group of people plus a few selected individuals who are allowed to broadcast to everybody. We're back to the same system again. And if you think about it, it's cyclical. It's cyclical in that we build systems that allow human beings to communicate to each other in a powerful way without censorship or middlemen, and then censorship and middlemen come back in to shut us down. What happens next? Other people build systems. But the beautiful thing about the internet is that it's not like before, where you can have people shut everyone down because, you can shut down that newspaper, you can shut down that communication, or whatever. On the internet, you can build new sites, new places where there's better communication. I mean, you can try and chop off people's access to those places, but they proliferate. You can now go to plenty of other places where P2P communication is coming back. The power of the original internet is coming back again. And if you ask me, we've swung the pendulum too far in the wrong direction when it comes to connecting people together. If you ask me, the most important, most valuable, most powerful thing that the internet does is connect people together. We need to step away from the models that we've built that don't facilitate that. Build tools to help people connect and communicate, and you will win the internet. That's it for me for today. See you next time, and until then, don't forget to think future.